Arc Raiders and Marathon are two very different takes on the extraction shooter genre. One's from Embark Studios, a fresh team building something new from the ground up. The other is Bungie, returning to one of their oldest IPs with a bold new vision. But here's the truth, Arc Raiders, even in its early state, already delivers a better experience, and Marathon, it feels like it lost its identity on the way to becoming relevant. Let me get this out of the way, I played the original Marathon Trilogy. It was my first FPS. I didn't understand half the story back then, but the atmosphere stuck with me. The bleak industrial setting, the rampant AIs, and the cryptic terminals. It was weirdly thoughtful for its time. Over the years, I replayed it and came to appreciate just how ahead of its time it really was. So when Bungie announced a new Marathon, man, I was hyped. I thought they were going to expand that universe, maybe finally continue the story in a modern setting. But what we got instead? A pastel-tinted hero shooter chasing Apex legends. It's not Marathon, it's just wearing Marathon's skin? Meanwhile, Arc Raiders is doing what extraction shooters should be doing, creating stories through gameplay, not lore dumps. I've had chaotic extractions where alliances were made and broken in seconds. One time I teamed up with a solo player mid-mission, only to get ambushed by a third person. I survived, barely, and accidentally killed the guy I partnered with. Another time, I watched a swarm of bots chase a raider across a rooftop while I quietly slipped away. These weren't scripted set pieces, they happened, naturally, through player interaction and smart design. That kind of emergent chaos, you don't get that in Marathon, not unless you're part of a pre-made squad sweating it out. It's a game built around team friction, but then denies solo players the tools to even participate. No prox chat, just a silent, weirdly lifeless loop. Now the tragedy of new Marathon isn't just that it's mechanically underwhelming, it's that it just doesn't understand what made the original special. The 90s Marathon games weren't just FPS titles. They were dense, mysterious, and emotionally cold in a way that made them feel truly alien. Now, the tone is gone, the soul is gone. What we have is a trend-chasing hero shooter with empty stylization and zero philosophical weight. It's like watching something you loved get hollowed out and sold back to you in pieces. Sure, I had some fun in the alpha, but only after 40 to 50 hours, once I was teamed up with sweaty players who knew how to force the best loot paths. That's when the game clicked, but it shouldn't take 40 hours and a stacked squad to enjoy your first few raids. That's not onboarding, that's gatekeeping your own game. Arc Raiders, on the other hand, knows exactly what it is. It's not about kill counts, it's about tension, survival, player-driven strategy. I've had more heart-pounding, unpredictable moments in 10 hours of Arc than I did in double that on Marathon. You can sneak past bots, bait them into enemies, choose whether to engage or extract. It makes you think, adapt, and improvise. Yeah, loot is a little bit sparse, but that scarcity adds weight to your decisions. When you find a good weapon or manage to pull off a clean extraction, it feels earned. That's the heart of an extraction shooter, not just grinding loot, but surviving long enough to matter. What's frustrating is that Bungie had the bones of something great. They could have taken the Marathon universe, rampant AIs, rogue clones, dying colonies, and built something atmospheric and cerebral. But instead they gave us another flashy, hyper-color shooter where the most interesting thing is the marketing rollout. The way Marathon's alpha was handled did not help either. The invite system was restrictive, and most players didn't get to play with their friends. That meant solo queuing into a game built around coordinated teams, and it sucked. I tried it solo multiple times, and it just wasn't fun. The intensity, the teamwork, the friction the devs kept hyping up, it only existed for people who already had a group. And that's the core problem. Marathon has flashes of brilliance, but it's buried under layers of friction, forced team play, and unclear direction. Bungie's pedigree got me in the door, but what I found didn't keep me there. I want this game to succeed, but if the launch version is anything like the alpha, it's not going to land. Arc Raiders doesn't rely on nostalgia or studio clout, it's just fun, and more importantly, it works. Look, I want Marathon to succeed. I've loved that universe since the 90s, but this isn't it. This new Marathon doesn't respect what made the original great, it just uses the same name to sell something trendy. It's like Disney remaking a classic as a live action. It has no soul. Meanwhile, Arc Raiders is rough, but it feels right. It's immersive, tense, unpredictable, and player-driven. It doesn't need nostalgia, it earns your attention through gameplay alone. If Marathon can find its soul again, great. But until then, Arc Raiders is the real evolution of the genre, and the better game by far.